Hello friends, today we will discuss some basics of our subject design of machine elements. Friends, as you all are aware about the various types of the materials and material properties in your subject of material science, let's start with the various types of engineering materials. You all are aware about this that materials are classified into two categories, metals and non-metals. The metals are further classified into categories which are ferrous and non-ferrous. The ferrous metals, the major constituent of this is the iron, then the metal is known as the ferrous metal. If the major constituent is except the iron, then our metal is known as the non-ferrous metals. In our non-metals, plastic, glass, rubbers are considered as a non-metals. If we are considering this material for our design purpose, then we require some properties of these materials. The various properties includes two type of the properties are there. First is the physical properties and second is your mechanical properties. In this physical properties, the various physical properties includes, if we are considering the luster, it means the illumination of this material is considered as the luster. Then color, size, density, shape and also conductivity. Conductivity may be electrical or thermal conductivity. These are the various physical properties, and if we are considering the mechanical properties which are very important in our design, then the first mechanical property is defined as the strength, and the strength is defined as the resistance to breaking. If our material having a resistance to breaking, then we can say the property is the strength. Stiffness is also defined as resistance to deflection, or we can say deformation. If a material having a resistance to deflection or deformation, then it is known as the stiffness. Elasticity. We know that if we are applying a load on material, then there is some deformation occurs, and if the deformation is removed after the unloading of the material and the material regain its original shape, then we can say the property is the elasticity property. It means the material regain its original shape after unloading. Then the property is known as the elasticity. Ductility. It is also a property of material. In this, the material can be drawn in form of a wire. It means we can say it is the ability to convert in wire Next property is your brittleness. It is opposite to the ductility. It means if the material having this property, it cannot be converted into the wires, or we can say cannot be drawn in wire. Then the property is known as the brittleness properties. And next property which we are considering in mechanical property is our malleability. It is also a ability of any material, ability to roll or hammer into thin sheets. If we can convert a material in the form of the sheets by the help of rolling or hammering, then the property is known as a malleability property. Machinability. It is also a property of materials, and according to this property, ability of, or we can say ability to remove or cut a material. If a material easily removed, then we can say it is a high machinability. Softer material having a high machinability, and a harder material is a very low machinability. Next property which we are using is our toughness. It is also an important property of material, and while we are designing, we are also considering this. Toughness is nothing, it is also a resistance to fracture. Due to impact loading. If a material is subjected to impact loading, then there may be a chances of fracture, and the property of this fracture resistance is known as the toughness. This toughness is also defined in the form of a energy absorbed. If you are considering the stress strain diagram, then we can also define this toughness in form of this energy absorbed. If we are considering this stress strain diagram for a ductile material, if this is our stress strain diagram, then we know that this is our fracture limit. It means this toughness is also known as the energy absorbed by this material up to this fracture limit. Up to this fracture limit, this energy absorbed per unit volume is also known as the toughness. We can define this toughness from this stress strain diagram also. Another property which we are using is resilience. Resilience is also a shock resistance property. It means if you are defining this resilience, means resistance to shock and impact. If a material is subjected to this shock and impact loadings, then we require this property, the resilience property, and it is very important property when we are designing the springs. And this is also defined in terms of the energy absorbed. And if we are considering this is stress strain diagram, then we know that this is our elastic limit. Then the energy absorbed per unit volume up to this elastic limit is also considered as the resilience. This resilience is also considered by this energy absorbed. We are also using a word proof resilience when we are designing. This proof resilience is nothing, and if we are drawing this stress strain diagram by unloading the material and then giving some offset at that time the energy from this diagram is known as the proof resilience, and it is only for some elongations. So friends, these are the various properties which we are using in our designing of any elements. Next topic which we are considering is our stress strain diagram. Stress versus strain diagram. If we are considering this stress strain diagram, then the stress strain diagram for our ductile material, this is our stress strain diagram in which these limits are defined by some points. This point is your proportional limit point, this point is your elastic point, this point is the yield point, maximum or minimum yield point, this point is your ultimate point, and this point is your fracture point. Stress strain diagram for our ductile material, and in this ductile material this P is your proportional limits, and we can define this proportional limit as, in this proportional limit the stress directly proportional to the strain. It means stress is directly proportional to strain, and if we are removing this proportionality symbol, then a modulus is defined. This is your Young's modulus. That's why the stress upon strain, the ratio of this in this proportional limit is known as the Young's modulus. Next is your elastic limit. And in this elastic limit, if we are loading the material, then there is a deformation in the material, and if we are unloading the material, then the material regain its original shape. Then we can say this limit is your elastic limits, or this limit is due to the regain of original shape after unloading. This is our elastic limits. But in practically, these limits are very close to each other. There is no difference in these two limits. Next is your yield limit. Yield limit, it is very important while we are designing our brittle or ductile material. The yield criteria is considered. Then yield limit, in this yield limits, the elongation is continued if we are reducing this stress, or we can say there is a elongation without any loading, then this situation is known as the yield limits. It means we can say elongation without loading. If there is no loading at that time, then elongation takes place, and this limit is your yield limit. This U is defined as the ultimate limit. It means it is the maximum loading conditions. The maximum loading limit is your ultimate limits, and up to this limit there is a neck formation in our material. This neck is formed, and if you are continue this loading, then there may be a fracture. This is our fracture limits. Due to this maximum loading, a neck is formed. That's why the strength is reduced at this point, and that's why if the further change in this loading, then there may be a failure of the material below this ultimate limits. This is our fracture limits. So this is complete about the strain diagram for our ductile material. And if we are considering this stress strain diagram for a brittle material, then the failure is like this. This is our failure, and the maximum limit is reached, ultimate limits for brittle material. That's why while we are designing a brittle material, we are considering this ultimate limits, and if we are designing a this ductile material, then we are considering this yield limits. It means the yield criteria is considered while designing this ductile material. Ultimate stress or strength is considered while we are designing this brittle material. Friends, this is complete about the stress strain diagram. Next topic which we are considering in our design is the loadings, various loads which we are applied in our designings. First is your tensile load. It may be a compressive load or it may be a shear loads. In our tensile load, we know that if a material is subjected to this pulling, then it is tensile load. If a material is pushing, then it is a compressive load. And if a material is subjected to this type of the load, in case of a rivet, if we are considering a rivet, then if we are applying a load, this type of the load is there in a couple, then there may be a failure of shear failure. This is the shear loads. And due to these loads, the various stresses are produced. Stresses are nothing. These are the internal resistance of the material. If we are applying some loads, then some internal resistance offered by this material, and this internal resistance is known as the stress. And if we are considering the stress, then due to this tensile, there is a tensile stress, and various nomenclatures or notations are used. We can define it by sigma T. This symbols is also used in some books. This symbols is also used in some books. If you are considering the compressive load, then the compressive stress and defined by this sigma C, PC or FC. If the load is shear, then the shear stress. But the shear stress are two types. If you are applying a direct load, then there is a direct shear stress, and this direct shear stress can be found out by the help of our strength equation. It means it is also defined by this tau. It can also defined by this sigma S, also defined by this. This can be our nomenclature. And in case of this indirect shearing, we are applying a load in nature of the tensile, but the failure occurs is the shear failure. That's why it is the indirect. The loading is tensile, but the failure is the shear failure. For example, if this is our object, we are applying the load. If this fails in this direction, like this is tensile, but we are applying the tensile load, but it failed in this manner. If this is our failure due to the tensile loading, then there is a shear failure. That's why it can also be found out the indirect manners. The notations are same, but the calculations are different. That's why if you are considering these direct calculations of the stress, this can be calculated by the help of our strength equation. By the help of the strength, we can calculate this direct, but if we are calculating this indirect, then this indirect may be due to the tensile, we can calculate the, or it may be due to the twisting. This can be calculated. Next is your bending stress. If you are applying some load and the bending occurs, then this bending stresses are considered and defined by this sigma B, PB or FB. These are the notations for our bending stress. We are also considering a stress which is known as the bearing stress. Maximum limits, or we can say this bearing stress is considered while we are considering the oversizing of our any parts. Then this is defined as sigma P or F. We can use any kind of the notations. So friends, these are the various stresses induced in our material while we are loading a materials. Now for designing purpose, we are using a some stress which is our a working stress, or this stress is also known as the safe stress. It is also known as the allowable stress. This working stress or safe stress is the value of the stress which is less than the maximum stress, because we are designing our parts on the basis of the less than the maximum stress. It means the stress which is less than the maximum stress, when under this acting of this stress or material is safe, then we can say these are the working stress or safe stress. It means these are the less stress or less maximum stress, we can say less than maximum stress. These stresses are the less than the maximum stress. Factor of safety, another criteria which we are using in our designing is the factor of safety, and this factor of safety is the ratio of maximum stress upon safe stress or allowable stress or our working stress, design stress. Various nomenclatures are there for this safe stress. And if we are considering this maximum stress is yield stress, if the maximum stress is the yield stress, then yield stress upon safe stress, the factor of safety for ductile material. We know that the ductile materials are designed on the basis of this yield criteria, and if the ultimate stress upon safe stress, then this is factor of safety for brittle materials. And we know that for brittle material we are using the ultimate stress criteria. So these are the various concepts which are used in our designing purpose. In our next video, we will discuss about the various IS codings of the material, Indian standard codings of the materials. Thank you friends.